Being very entitled and controlling, narcissists have no difficulty stepping all over your personal boundaries. So that's why I put together an extensive video class called This Is Me. It has 25 videos, written documents, guided questions. I'm going to teach you how to have healthy boundaries. There's a link below, and I hope you'll find it to be quite therapeutic. Do you ever have frustrations in your life? Yeah, frustration happens way too much. Do you have plans that falter or just don't play out the way that you wanted or expected? Or do people in your world disappoint you and it's like, I didn't see that coming? Or do you have the same recurring disagreements and arguments with individuals and you wish, I wish this would just quit? Now, my question to you is, when you have those kind of experiences and when those things happen to you, do you think of those episodes as learning experiences? Now, of course, you can learn a lot about the people involved in the problems that are right there in front of you, and you may learn about their backstory. That's fair game. That's good enough. But then taking it a little bit further, do you bring that question back into yourself? Now, there's one question that is so helpful when you're in moments like this, and it's a question that a narcissist simply will not ask, ever. They just don't go into this space. In your moments of strain and tension and disappointment, the ultimate question might be, what am I learning about myself? You see, you can tell a whole lot about the maturity level of an individual, not by watching them when things go really well, but by observing how they manage their own pain. You can tell a lot about a person's maturity level by watching what they do when disillusioning situations come along or when conflict is there. And those individuals will welcome the question, what does all this teach me? Now, obviously, what does it teach me about other individuals? But what does it teach me about myself? What does it teach me about life in general? What does it teach me about human nature? And you like to just kind of go into that space. Now, when narcissists have their strains and frustrations, they basically do one thing that just completely sets up disaster, and that is they focus outwardly. Their thinking is, well, I got a raw deal, and you did me wrong. You didn't give me what I wanted. And it may be true that they got a raw deal, but that's what they focus on. And then they will take it a little bit further and they'll say, I am in pain and I have been disappointed. Now, it's your job to fix whatever emotion and distress is on the inside of me. And then you'll notice that they go heavily into a coercive or an insistent frame of thinking and communicating. Being extremely externally based in the way that they think, whenever they move forward, it doesn't work because they keep the notion is my life would be just fine if you people out there would just get your act right. I'm hurting and I can't cope on my own. Therefore, don't tell me I have to become responsible for myself. You need to take responsibility for what's going on inside of me. Now, they may not put it quite in those words, and this may be going on at a subconscious level, but once you begin seeing, it's like, oh, it just goes hand in hand with what it means to be narcissistic. They're so entitled and self-absorbed. They operate with the alternate reality that says, well, I'm the one that makes up truth, and if truth doesn't suit my narrative, then we need to rearrange the narrative out there. And so the more they have this external only style of thinking, they won't ask the question, what am I learning about myself? It sets up all sorts of, let's call it strategies, absurd strategies that they may have as they attempt to alleviate their strain and tension and frustrations. And right at the top of the list of their strategies is find someone to blame. You caused my life to go off kilter. What's wrong with you? And so they go heavily into that blame and shame kind of mode. And how many times have you been criticized and told that there's something defective about you? And that it's just the first nature to them Look what you did to me. Then, as part of their strategy of trying to make things better with their frustrations, they might yell. And it's like, well, maybe I can motivate you to be a fixer for me if I scream loud enough. if I just become so overwhelming, maybe you'll just say, okay, I'll do anything to make you feel happy. And yelling becomes a strategy. Or if they feel like that might not work, they can go to the other direction. They can become real passive aggressive. Well, I'll teach you. I'll be non-cooperative. I'll promise to do stuff, and then I won't because you're not worth it. And they can talk about you behind your back, anything that's part of their expression of frustration at your expense, but with the least amount of vulnerability. That's what passive aggressiveness is. They can use the strategy of belittlement. It's kind of like, well, if I can remind you often enough of your many inadequacies, surely then that will motivate you to change. And so they keep telling you how many things there are in your life that just don't measure up. And all along, they're lying to themselves. They may say something to themselves like, I really am a decent person, and whatever misfortune has come towards me then has to be at the feet of other individuals. And then, of course, that leads to them using the strategy of letting egotism be front and center in the way that they engage with you. And they're thinking it's like, well, the world would be a better place if it would just, consult with me. And if you would just ask me, well, what do I need to learn? It's like, well, I'm glad you asked me that question. They want you to ask the question, but they won't ask that question about themselves. Basically, narcissists live inside their own constructed alternate reality. And it can lead to a conclusion that says, well, if I admit that I'm wrong, which I'm not, then that's not going to go well. But the truth is, I'm just not wrong. I'm the gold standard. I'm the one that people need to look to so that these problems would go away. You see, there's one characteristic that narcissists do not possess, and that's the characteristic of intuitive thinking or reflective thinking. And basically, what we mean when we say you need to have intuitive thinking, it means that you make the effort to observe what's happening in your outer world so that you can apply wisdom and practical adjustments. And so it has so many different ingredients that go along with that. When you have that intuitive thinking, it means that you will, in fact, draw conclusions about people out there, people, events, but it doesn't stop at that place. As you understand people and events and how they might disappoint, you then remind yourself who you can control and who you cannot control. I can control what happens to the inside of me. That's pretty much it. I can't control people out there. Narcissists, though, they're so self-enamored and control is one of their defining features. It's like, well, if there's something that's gone wrong, I must control you. They don't have that intuitive thinking that goes with that question, what am I learning about myself? Instead, or I should say, if you have the intuitive style of thinking, you allow yourself to experience emotions, but you're not dominated by the emotions. Again, we go back and we say each emotion is trying to send you a signal. If I have fear, if I have agitation, if I have confusion, what are those emotions telling me? And what am I going to read about that relative to who I am? Along with that, then, intuitives will take time to ask, well, what are my core values? And how can I hold on to my core values, in other words, an inside-out kind of mindset, when my world is not giving me exactly what I feel like I need to do? And of course, as you have that sense of core values, then that even takes you a little bit further, and you can tie it to having a sense of meaning and purpose in your life. Interestingly, there are some self-righteous narcissists who will say, oh, I have a purpose in life, and they can, say what their beliefs are, etc. But bottom line, when it's crunch time, they still blame, and they still look outward as opposed to drawing upon an internal strength. When you have an intuitive style of thinking, you realize that conflict and difficulty is a classroom. It's not a battlefield. A narcissist, when there's conflict and difficulty, it's like, The war is on, and I'm the general, and we're going to win this war. People with intuitive thinking prize self-restraint, which is tied to humility and patience. I can't have everything go my way. I'm going to patiently see if I can work my way through this, and that's a skill that narcissists certainly don't have. And then in addition, people with intuitive thinking actually learn from past experiences. And you'll notice that narcissists keep repeating the same mistakes over and over because they won't ask that question. What am I learning about myself? Therefore, when a different set of circumstances comes along, again, it must be them because I'm not learning about who I am. It's exhausting, isn't it? You know, you'd love for the narcissist, well, they wouldn't be a narcissist, to ask that question, what am I learning about myself? But A, the question doesn't arise. And then B, if they do answer that question, you know what the answer is? Well, I'm learning that I'm just surrounded by a bunch of idiots. That's the way they think. And of course, my reaction to that is, never mind. To the narcissist, I'm going to more or less imply, go ahead and project all of your internal tensions onto people out there. Go ahead and displace all of that chaos that you carry out there. You'll never learn, though, and you'll keep repeating the same old mistakes, and you'll have the same old conclusion. I think that's the definition for insanity, right? In the meantime, I want to choose self-reflection. I want to choose that intuitive style of thinking. I know who I am, and I'm always in a learning kind of mode. What am I learning about myself? That's a wonderful question. And I hope that videos such as this can increase your awareness of what you are dealing with. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do so. We're going to keep more videos coming toward you, and I hope that it has a cumulative effect as you continue to watch. You know, sometimes you are going through something like this, and it would be good if you had a therapist that could help you sift that out. Obviously, I'm a therapist. I'm retired now, but it's something I believe in strongly. Sometimes it helps to with someone who can help you with those light bulb moments. I've been sponsored for years by the people at BetterHelp.com. There's a link below the video here that will take you to their service. It's online, which means it's accessible. And then plenty of very capable therapists are signed up as therapists on their service. So you can answer the questions and then choose a therapist. And I hope it really works out well for you. Get the help that you need. Also, I have courses that I put together. It's like signing up for online classes, each one with 25 or more videos, written documentation, as well as guided questions. We have Ready, Set, Connect about having healthy connections. This is me establishing your boundaries when necessary, free to be, finding yourself despite the controllers. I've also put together a series of webinars now. All of this is available on our website. And on the website, we have plenty of articles. We have availability to my podcast, my books, plenty of resources. So the question that narcissists will not ask is, what am I learning about myself? What they'll say is, what do you need to learn about who you are? It's like, okay, got it. I am thinking that way, by the way. I want to learn. And when they refuse to ask that question, then of course they're going to stay stuck in the same old dysfunctions. That's where they are. I hope that as you have that self-reflective, intuitive style, though, you'll see that it's something that helps steady you out with that your sense of values and that purpose that I mentioned. And in the end, it allows you to be a person of peace. You knew I was going to say that, didn't you? I want you to be a person of peace.